Nisam Levinaka, and welcome to the U.S. Embassy in Suva. It is our great pleasure to have you with us today to celebrate the Independence Day of the United States of America. This is a joyous celebration for us that is tempered a little because this is the last evening that Tony Groibel and his wife Izumi will be with us here in Fiji. Tony was the chargé d'affaires here in Fiji for almost 2 years when my predecessor Joseph Sella left and I arrived in November of last year. And so we moved the date of the Independence Day celebration a little early because we weren't going to let them leave without an ability to see all of their friends and be sung out in the way they should be after all of their contributions. Our theme for tonight is shared history. For those of you I've had the honor of meeting, I think I've told some of you, I myself graduated from university with a degree in history, and so this theme is especially meaningful for me. Historians, in my view, we study the past not simply to learn about the people and events of times gone by, but to understand how those elements shape our present and inform our future. The United States and Fiji have an incredibly rich shared history. We have long partnered to secure regional and indeed global peace and stability. Our two countries share an enduring commitment to freedom, democracy, and human rights. In the Second World War, when those fundamental rights were in jeopardy, Fijian and American soldiers fought shoulder to shoulder to defend our shared ideals and restore peace to the Blue Pacific. We are approaching or have already commemorated the 80th anniversary of many of those decisive battles. But the same common priorities that led to victory all those decades ago guide our actions today. The United States and Fiji are both Pacific countries, and our common commitment to regional peace, prosperity, and security remains strong. For example, our Shiprider program embarks Fijian law enforcement personnel onto U.S. Navy and Coast Guard vessels to enforce Fijian law within Fiji's pretty massive exclusive economic zone. And it's thanks to that partnership that there is more effective efforts to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing in the vast waters over which you have sovereignty. I also want to commend the government and the people of Fiji for your nearly 500 uniformed personnel deployed around the world in peacekeeping operations. Along with our Australian counterparts and many other partners, we are proud to have helped Fijian law enforcement train and deploy police officers who also serve in UN peacekeeping operations, advancing the 2050 Blue Pacific Continent strategy goal of addressing regional security issues. You should be justly proud of the long history of contributions that the men and women of this nation have made to global peace and stability. We are incredibly grateful for the sacrifice that they and their families have made to help ensure that peace. The United States is committed to being a strong partner in those efforts, but we recognize that in the long term, the greatest challenge confronting the world today is climate change. The Pacific Islands are leading the world in climate issues, advocating for action that has catalyzed change on a global scale. For our part, the U.S. government has helped Pacific Island countries unlock more than $500 million in funding to manage the growing impact of climate change in the region. At the recent Pacific Islands Forum Dialogue in Papua New Guinea, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced our plans to be among the founding partners to support the PIF in standing up the new Pacific Resilience Facility to attract investments in adaptation and resilience. The United States is committed to being your partner and help ensure a prosperous, healthy future for the Blue Pacific. And I know that we are going to be successful in this fight. We have to be. Our partnership rests on a strong foundation that we've built over decades of friendship between our peoples, as neighbors, as colleagues, and even as family. I've been in Suva about just over 7 months now, and I know that there is no greater connection between us than the one that has been formed during the 55 years that the U.S. Peace Corps has been active in Fiji. Peace Corps' years of focus on community-centered development has contributed to the professional and even the personal growth of men and women in both our nations. In conversations that I have with Fijians from all walks of life, I frequently hear their fond memories of Peace Corps volunteers and the long-standing impact of their experience with a volunteer. Now that the Peace Corps has returned, we have volunteers that are here in Fiji on the ground and more to come. And I know this year new friendships, new collaborations are developing right now, reinforcing our long-standing partnership with each other. Our shared history, though, is only a prologue for our exciting future. And in the coming year, amongst other things, the U.S. Department of Commerce will lead a U.S. business delegation to the Pacific Islands to look at concrete opportunities in fields such as energy, transportation, healthcare, tourism, and telecommunications. We're also partnering with Johns Hopkins University, and I'm sufficiently partisan about my country that I really feel that's just one of the best institutions of higher learning in the world today. We will be welcoming the first cohort of Pacific Islanders to the U.S. Pacific Institute for Rising Leaders. The program starts this fall. The program sprang out of President Biden's summit that took place in Washington last September, and will bring together the region's brightest minds to address key priorities and challenges that confront us all. And in August, I'm super excited about this, in August we will officially open the U.S. Agency for International Development's Pacific Islands mission here at the embassy in Suva, and it will promote our shared development goals for a more resilient, more connected, and more prosperous region as outlined in the 2050 Blue Pacific Strategy. So I want to thank you all for joining me and the entire Embassy Suva team to celebrate our Independence Day, to celebrate our shared history, our dynamic present, and our very, very bright future. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless the Republic of Fiji. Vinaka Vakalevu.